Hello, dear friend, and welcome to this brand new video in which we are going to talk about something very interesting. We are going to explore the hidden or blocked potential in the chart. And not every chart has something like that, but very often we can find it. And the first important concept we have to explore is about the idea that our whole chart reveals our full potential, or with other words, what's possible for us, what we can accomplish, what kind of skills we may develop, or what kind of talents we have by nature. But first of all, it's not guaranteed that all of this potential will be used or revealed properly. And here, a crucial role plays what we do and how we use this potential. And are we actually putting effort in order to use our full potential? And in some cases, people are really capable of using their full potential and also releasing the blockages. And unfortunately, there are other cases in which this doesn't happen. And it's not just all or nothing. Sometimes we are just able to use some of this potential and not all of it. So keep in mind that we also need to consider the concept of timing. So, of course, we have access to our chart energetically from the day we were born, but some things take time. And especially if we talk about more complex skills or talents, it takes time until we can really get access to them. So keep that in mind. Very often, what has happened is that, for example, you see there is a talent. Let's say that someone has writing potential to be a great writer, to be very inspiring or very creative. And they're in their 20s, and you talk to them, and they say, well, actually, it's not a theme in my life. I'm not that interested in that. And eventually, when they get 30 or 40 years old, at some point, and in astrology terms, it means when some transit or progression triggers their natal potential, suddenly they become interested in writing, and actually they start working on this talent, and eventually it becomes a theme for them. So keep that in mind. If you see astrologically that there is a potential for some kind of skill or talent in the chart, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person recognizes that immediately, or especially if they are younger. So this is important. Some things take time and some things are revealed later in our lives. So let's discuss which are the main characteristics which can show this kind of hidden or secret or also blocked potential. So the first thing which can show this is if we have interceptions in the birth chart. So I have a full video on interceptions, and if you're interested, I highly recommend you go and check it out. But with simple words, an intercepted sign is when we have the cusp of the sign in one particular, the cusp of the house in one particular sign. Let's say first house is in Aries, and the cusp of the next house, second house, is not in Taurus, which is the next following sign, but in Gemini. So that would mean that the whole sign Taurus is within first house. This is what we call interception. Basically, if you have a sign and in this sign there is no cusp of a house, it means that it's intercepted. Those are always in pairs, so they show you that there is an energy which you don't have immediate access to. And this can show, of course, potential challenges, but also some kind of potential which you don't have immediate access to. And this can be unlocked through some kind of efforts, through hard work, and also with time. Usually, the older we get, the easier it gets to unlock this potential. So if you have interceptions, this could be one indication that there is a secret or sometimes blocked potential in your chart. And that applies especially for the cases when there is also a planet in this intercepted sign. This is also an intercepted planet, and we don't have immediate access to the energy of this planet. So let's say that you have an intercepted Venus. It won't be so easy for you to have access to this Venus energy. It may affect your personal life. It can bring delays in having a fulfilling relationship, for example, or marriage, or sometimes it could be related to creativity. It may not be that easy for you to express this creative potential or anything else that Venus is related to. So interceptions are big indications that there is some kind of potential, inner, deep. Sometimes it's unconscious, it's unrecognized, but it's there. And it's highly possible that at some point you might be able to unlock this potential. It happens in time. So the older you get, the easier it gets. And also, if something triggers this planet, something major, of course, in transits, progressions, or other predictive methods. So a next thing that may show also that there is a secret or blocked potential is certain house positions, especially if we talk about 12th house. 8th house as well, but 12th house seems like the most secret place in the chart, the most secret house in our birth chart. So very often planets which are there could be kind of secret or hidden for other people. And also 12th house is not the material house. It's about the subconscious mind, it's about the past, it's about spirituality, and it's not that easy to turn this energy into something material. So it might take more time for this energy to be revealed, especially if we talk about some outer achievements. If we talk about spiritual growth or connecting with your higher self, 12th house is great. But if we talk about material social success, 12th house usually brings delays. So, for example, Venus in 12th house can potentially bring delays related to marriage or serious relationships. And each of the other planets has its also specific indications. But keep that in mind that things that are triggering your 12th house may take more time, and you don't necessarily have immediate access to it consciously. That's very important. Another thing also is generally the house position. So there are houses which make things easier on a material level, on an outer level, and those are first and 10th house. Like they are the most socially important houses, or houses which allow you to express the energy of the planet on an outer level. So usually those houses make things easier for this connection, for this exploration. But there are other houses, as we mentioned. 12th house would be like probably the most challenging. 8th house is also very secret, very private house, and it may take more time and digging deeper to really reveal this potential. 4th house, even though it's a cardinal house, it's still very private. So overall, those are the water houses or the karmic houses, 12th, 8th, and 4th house. They may show that you have certain potential. It's just not that simple to reveal this or to make it visible for other people. And of course, each planet individually has houses which are strong for this particular planet and other houses which are weaker. So, for example, Jupiter would be very strong in 9th house. Jupiter is associated to this house, which means that in the opposite house, 3rd house, it's not that powerful. So it's not that easy for us to use the full potential of this Jupiter. And each of the other planets also has houses which are more beneficial or kind of feels like home for this planet, and other houses which are not close to the nature of the planet. So eventually it can make it more difficult for us to use the full potential of this planet. Another big area would be about planets which have no aspect. And this doesn't apply to everyone because not everyone has planets without aspects, but some people do. And this is a very interesting theme. And in my experience, it shows that the planet becomes very important for us. In what way? That really depends on the whole chart and also how we are using the energy. But if you have a planet which doesn't have any aspects with the other planets, this planet becomes really important. And here is the thing: aspects are the ways that the planets communicate with each other. They are extremely important because when you have aspects between different planets, it shows that the energy is flowing and also there are connections and things get more complex, and also kind of the charge that they offer us or the potential they offer us is higher. So if you have a planet with no aspects, and here I mean no aspects, no minor aspects as well, this planet is kind of being on its own. It's, a loner in your chart. So one option is that you just don't have conscious access to it. You don't recognize it. It gets more difficult for you to use it. Or there is like another completely different case in which this planet becomes so important that eventually this intensifies it. But it's a tricky case, honestly, and it really depends on what you are doing. But overall, a planet which has absolutely no aspects with the other planets becomes very important and may show certain potential which you don't have immediate access to, or it's kind of hidden for you, at least consciously and at least for a while. And with time, things may change. The more we grow consciously, spiritually, the more we can really use our full potential. And another thing which is very important are challenging aspects by Saturn. So this is very interesting because we know that Saturn is a planet that brings delays, and also Saturn can block certain things in your chart. So if you have, let's say, a very strong planet, let's use again Venus. So Venus is in Taurus, and Venus is, let's say, in your second house. This is a house which is very comfortable for Venus. So this may show great potential for, especially for material things, for financial abundance and wealth. But Saturn is squaring your Venus. Let's say Saturn is in Aquarius, squaring your Venus in Taurus. This may show that you really have the potential. Venus is there. It's very strong, essentially accidentally, but Saturn is squaring your Venus. So Saturn is putting a limitation. And what it can bring for you is that there could be delays. It may take you longer time to really establish this wealth or this financial abundance. So you have the potential, but Saturn is blocking it. And it doesn't mean that, this is like for a lifetime and you would never get access to it. By no means. But what it means actually is that it can be more difficult and it may take more effort. One of the favorite words of Saturn is effort, and the other thing is patience. So what you need to do is work harder and be more consistent and patient. And another truth about Saturn is that with time and the older we get, potentially the more beneficial it can get, or it can get easier for us to navigate this energy and use it in a constructive way. So if Saturn is squaring certain planets in your chart or has an opposition or even conjunctions, this may show that you have certain potential, but It's not that easy to reveal it. It will take more time, more consistency, more effort, more patience. But don't get discouraged, because Saturn can really help you to have stability. And once you use this, or once you unlock this, things can be very stable and long lasting. So, just a quick reminder here that nothing in astrology is only positive or negative. This is just not happening. Everything has a positive and a challenging side. So, even the tough aspects that Saturn has with our planets also shows some kind of potential that we can use. And the final point I have for you is related to the outer planets. So, whenever we get to the outer planets, things are never simple. And the truth is that they can work on many different levels. On a very material level, the outer planets can actually be very destructive. But on a very higher spiritual level, they are absolutely amazing, showing us a great opportunity for growth, for spiritual development, for expansion, also the opportunity to impact other people. So the outer planets also include a great potential for us. And of course, you have to explore the chart. You have to find that, you have, for example, a strong outer planet in connection with your personal planets. But again, this can be revealed later in your life. The potential of this may require more time. The outer planets are not simple, especially when we are young. In our teenage years, even in our 20s, it's not that simple to use them constructively. And very often, they can be more beneficial later in life. For example, after the age of 40, after we have passed our Uranus opposition, after we have passed the second lunar node's return, after we pass the Neptune square and the Pluto square. Those are periods which can mark stages or different periods in our lives. And after that, the outer planets may work in a different way. But all of that, honestly, is connected to our own growth, our spiritual growth. So it's not just, oh, you have to get to this particular age and then boom, Uranus is becoming extremely beneficial and it won't bring any shocking changes to you. That's not how things work. It's important how much we grow spiritually. And the truth is that there are people who, even in their 20s or 30s, may grow incredibly. So that would change for them. But overall, this is like a general principle. The older we get, the easier it becomes for us to use the outer planets. We are more mature, we are more conscious, we are more aware of what is happening to us. And let me just remind you that if you want to calculate your birth chart, you can go to my website and use the birth chart calculator completely free. I will include the links below, so make sure to check them and see if you have interceptions in your chart or if you have other hidden potential. So let's summarize the few things that, or the most important things that can show a secret, hidden, or blocked potential in your birth chart. The first thing are the intercepted signs, especially if you have also intercepted planets within those signs. Then we have certain house positions, mostly 12th house, but also 8th and 4th may show a secret potential. And the individual weak house for each planet may show that it gets easier for us the older we get, or at least at first, it's more challenging to use the full potential of this planet. Also, planets with no aspects, no connections with the other planets. And if the planet has challenging aspects with Saturn, this may show blocked potential. The final thing that we talked about are the outer planets. They can show potential which can be revealed later in our life. And I guess you are hearing my neighbors are starting again with their renovations. which tells me it's time probably to finish with this video. Don't forget, you can go to my website and calculate your birth chart completely free. And also, if you want to learn astrology more in depth, make sure to go and sign up for the waitlist for MarStars Astrology Academy. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you really soon. Bye bye.